Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Thursday, August 8th. We got a mini slate today, but we're going to be going over it. And as always, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 a month gets you access to everything we do. All the props, all the DFS, you get it all. We are 30 days away from football. It is time to get in, start researching week one, get those best ball drafts going on. Which reminds me, we got our new best ball product. Come check it out. Join the chat. Talk about the season, your season-long teams, and draft those best ball teams. Now, we're going to go and get into it. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Helps us a ton. As always, we are going to start with the perfect lineups on FanDuel and DraftKings. Now, there's already a slate for today. Of course, Manny Machado hits a home run when I picked him yesterday to get a bomb. And so I am sorry to whoever we picked for that. But yesterday's perfect lineup, it was a Coors pitcher after I trashed them yesterday. Both being not very good, not much upside. Surprisingly, pretty much all the studs failed a little bit, or at least failed to pay off their salary. But Paul Blackburn, 37, got it done. We had a three-man Milwaukee stack, run back with the Braves, and then a couple one-offs. Schwarber just went absolutely nuts. The man was just on a mission. He had 3 home runs and a double, 7 RBIs, 3 runs, 4 hits, a walk. He just went nuts. And then the winning lineup went to M. Monsell, who had Kirby and pretty much just all one-offs. It was a 2-man Boston stack and then one-offs. He nailed the right pieces. He had Schwarber at 11% owned, which was pretty much a must to be able to take down yesterday's tournament. Now let's get over to DraftKings and see what we got here for the perfect lineup. We have Bowden Francis, 5.4K, put up 18. He had a decent game with 7 Ks, so nice work for him. Scooble, 30.75, 10.1K, got it done. Then we have a 2-man Detroit stack and one-offs from there, with the winning lineup going to Need Lunch Money, who had Reagans and Eric Fetty, 2 chalk pitchers that did pretty solid and got it done. And then we had a 5-man Milwaukee stack, 2-man KC with good old Schwarber bringing it back. He won by 26 points. Just wild how much he won by. So congrats to him. And excuse me, let's get into today's slate a bit here. All right, only a 5-gamer. We do have weather concerns as Yankees and Angels. It does look like it's going to rain, but I think there is definitely a chance to get this one going. And Nestor Cortez chalk day is here with weather concerns here. And Nasty Nestor is 7.9K, so I understand why he's chalk. He absolutely has the upside. He's struggled a bit lately, but he is averaging 75% more fantasy points at home. The Angels lineup is not good versus lefties, striking out at 22%. Cortez has a little upside. I think it makes total sense on today where pitching is real rough that he is the chalk. Now, it definitely doesn't feel very good when you have Nestor, Gausman, and Kyle Gibson as your 3 chalkiest pitchers, but that's where we are today. We got Kevin Gausman next, 9.5K, 1.6X in a very tough spot versus Baltimore. He's had a rough go this season. He's had very few of his ceiling outcomes, has got really roughed up a few times. After his preseason injury or spring training injury, I just don't think he's really got fully healthy this year. And it's kind of showed. He's been much worse at home. Baltimore is great versus righties. I mean, they're great versus everybody. It's hard to want to really, really go to Gausman today. But I mean, he is one of the better pitchers on the slate, so maybe you just kind of have to, but really hate to with that kind of ownership. Next, we got Kyle Gibson, 7,900, and this is kind of why I say, I don't really love Gausman in this spot. We got Gibson and Nasty Nestor, both cheaper. Gibson, 3.98 FIP over his last 20, 3.59 over his last 5. He's been pitching well. There's enough upside at this price. And the Rays just haven't been good versus righties. So I think Gibson is fully in play. 24% combined K rate at 7.9K. I'm in. Brian Wu versus the Tigers. Woo's been really good at home, 50% more fantasy points at home. He has a huge ceiling. My one issue is that they just haven't been letting him pitch or throw very many pitches. Now, he is super consistent, super efficient, I should say. Working, 5-6 innings off only 70 pitches. He's averaging 72 pitches over his last 5. However, he did get up to 92 last start. That was my big worry for him last time out is would he get the leash? Now, he pitched very well. They gave him a leash, gave him 92. Now, the big question is, do we think he's going to stay around that? Or are they going to bring him back down to 70, 80 pitches like they have pretty much all season? My guess, 75, 80 pitches was where he's at. However, if he's getting to 90, I love the spot for Brian Wu, and I would have a ton of them. So in that situation, and a little lower owned, I think he's very interesting. Just understand there's some risk with his pitch count, just not letting him really get to those ceiling type levels. But I am absolutely intrigued with Brian Wu, and he's probably the best pitcher on this slate so far this season. Dean Kremer, don't really want to go there. Toronto's been hitting well. He's not been pitching well. We have seen some upside out of him before, but I don't love the spot. However, on today's slate, I can't really cancel anybody out. Shane Baz, I think this is a really interesting one. He is a big-time prospect. We got a 3.5 FIP over his last 5 starts, 26% K rate over his last 20, 22 over his last 5. St. Louis offense doesn't scare me. He's only 7.6K. I think he is the pivot from Cortez-Gibson combo if you want to stay in that 7K price range. He has the upside to get it done, but his pitches are, a little lower as well. So he's going to have to be a little efficient to really get it done and get you 20 plus, but I am definitely a little intrigued. Next, Tyler Anderson versus Yankees. Never want to go against the Yankees, but at least over the last 20 games, they have been a little rough versus lefties. 225 average, hitting the ball hard with 199 ISO, 356 WOBA, but the average is down. However, with those WOBA and power numbers, I don't love trying to pick on the Yankees. Anderson at least has been good, though. 3.09 FIP over his last 5 starts with almost 28% K rate. That is wild. However, he has played the Cubs, Seattle, Oakland, and the Mets. So, 3 of the games, kind of 4 with the Cubs being high strikeout teams. Anderson is at least better away. I think he's in an interesting spot. Excuse me. I think he's an interesting spot, but it is a hard click today versus the Yankees. Jordan Montgomery, he only went 53 pitches last time out. A little scary to want to go there, so I'm probably out there. Kobe Allard, 65 pitches last time out. He's 6K. Maybe he gets a little extra pitches, but I'm probably not going there versus a hot-hitting Arizona team. Now, on to good old FanDuel. What do we got here? We got Nasty Nestor as the highest owned. Brian Wu next. Kyle Gibson after that. I think as a pivot, Kyle Gibson is probably my favorite pick here, ownership considered. But Brian Wu, I think, is in the best spot today. there's just some worries about him for his pitch count. Nasty Nestor, I think, is in a fine spot. I do like him, but I worry a little bit about the weather. Make sure to watch that as we come a little closer to lock, but he definitely has the ceiling to get it done. Gausman, 8,900. We've seen him do really, really well versus some good teams. So is that out of the question today? No. I mean, 52 against Texas, 46 against Seattle, 43 versus the Dodgers. He has been able to shut down good teams before. He can absolutely do it again. He just really needs to be on top of his game, which he hasn't been that much this year. And outside of that, pitching is pretty rough today. So let's go over some stacks real quick. Highest ceiling, we got the Yankees showing up against Tyler Anderson. We have the Diamondbacks versus Colby Allard. Allard hasn't been good. Diamondbacks have been hitting the ball very, very well. Josh Bell has turned into prime Goldie all of a sudden. It is definitely an interesting spot. They found some magic lately. And then the highest owned stacks, we got Philadelphia versus Jordan Montgomery. That makes all the sense in the world. Not only is Montgomery likely to not pitch very long, he hasn't been good this season. So, and then behind him, you got a poor bullpen of Arizona. No surprise whatsoever that they are the highest owned stack right now. Some Yankee stacks coming in there too as being an expensive or higher owned, which makes sense. But to be honest, I don't love trying to pick on Tyler Anderson. Highest projected, we got Arizona, Philadelphia, Baltimore all coming in. I think Baltimore is a very interesting kind of leverage spot. Gausman's not going super high owned, but Baltimore is low owned on the slate and very intrigued. One of the things you'll see with Arizona is there's a pretty wide range of ownership for them. You can get Arizona at, lower ownerships, which is definitely intriguing as well. And let's check out the highest valued before we hit the teams button and look at the full overview. Highest value, we got Toronto versus Dean Kremer. I think that makes a ton of sense. Toronto has been hitting the ball well lately, and I don't mind just keeping going on that value train. They're obviously just looking at the future and trying to get some of their younger guys some action. And if you want to throw Vlad in there, Vlad has been on an absolute fire lately. Detroit versus Brian Wu. I don't love the spot for Detroit. However, there is going to be leverage there. And Detroit has been hitting the ball okay lately, so I don't mind that option. Clicking on the teams, our highest implied run total is Arizona at 5.3. Makes sense that they're one of the highest owned, highest projected. Yankees, 4.9. Now, this is the spot that's hard for me. I think Tyler Anderson is a good pitcher, can work deep into games, can limit runs, but the bullpen behind him is terrible. So I think the Yankees, if they're higher owned, I might stay away from them a little bit. If I am finding some lower owned Yankee stack, I do like them. Just hopefully that they can really do some damage versus the bullpen. Baltimore, Kevin Gausman has been shaky all year. The bullpen behind him is awful. I think Baltimore comes lower owned, and there's giant upside in that spot. Toronto, we covered, we like. Philadelphia, we covered, we like. Seattle, not sure who the pitcher is, but the bullpen for the Tigers is terrible, so Seattle could be in an interesting spot as well. And then obviously today you got to look at some of these leverage stacks. Tampa Bay versus Kyle Gibson, Angels versus Cortez, Detroit versus Wu. All of these are going to be lower owned stacks with a chance to really pop off if the starter, gets beat up early and has a short day. Is it probable? No, but it is probably more likely today than most days with the stud. So a little more interested in those leverage stacks today, especially with it being such a short slate. So that'll do it for us today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with a big slate. You guys have a good one, and good luck. Let's make some money. Peace.